Hello, everyone. I'm Andreas, and this is, well, you may introduce yourself.
I'm Lucky Bun. Lucky Bun or Page, whichever you prefer. I play bad video games on Twitch.tv, where I play a cartoon rabbit on the internet. I like to think of myself as the Discrot of video games.
Oh no, you poor thing.
It's a title I wear with pride.
It better be. Yeah, we are going to discuss a movie that I forced you to watch, which I don't think you had any knowledge of. You were blissfully unaware of.
No, and in Totally Blind, yeah.
That is Mio in the Land of Faraway, or Mio min Mio in the superior Swedish dub.
Is the Swedish dub superior? How is it?
It's terrible
Oh.
and magnificent. Mio in the Land of Faraway is about Bosse, an orphan whose life sucks. Then a giant head takes him to the Land of Faraway where an evil lurks.
I think there's a good movie in here somewhere.
Hey,
I don't think it is it, but I think it could be a really good movie. And I think it needs some changes.
so,
Let me see, this came out in 1987. So I think the statute of limitations on spoilers is pretty much over. So at the beginning of the movie, it does like a Wizard of Oz, where like Bossa meets with he meets with his best friend. He sees a giant kite that's shaped like a giant head. He meets with the shopkeeper who's very nice to him, and then he meets with some old man that
Unlike
hides him from
everyone else.
bullies. Right.
well, he doesn't hide him from bullies. He more like, you
Oh, no.
little shit,
Yeah,
how
he
dare
gives
you
him up.
be around here, throws him into what I only assume is like a tar pit, based on how dirty his hat gets.
And then they play hockey with his hat. It's very weird.
It is like the least practical thing you can play hockey with.
Right? All of these scenes become mirrored once he goes to the Land of Faraway, because like the kite is shaped like a giant head. There's a giant head that takes him to the Land of Faraway. He meets a best friend. He meets like the shopkeeper is kind of analogous to this weaver that like gives him a magic cloak that becomes useful later.
We have to talk a little bit about the cloak, because when you first see it, it shines so brightly. And I'm like, yeah, sneak in with that shit. Just this illuminating fucking thing.
It's actually a super old film technique. Using when I saw it, I had to pause the movie because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I know exactly what they're doing here." So it's using a reflective fabric that has little tiny like beads in it. They're little prisms that reflect light back to the source of the light. Then you just put a light source behind the camera, and it reflects all the light from that back into the camera lens. It's a pretty old film technique for making stuff look like bright or magical. And it's used to okay effect here. It looks all right. Cute little
Can I talk a
practical
little
effect.
bit about my favorite effect?
Oh, please.
It is when they go into the blackest mountain, which isn't even black, nor a mountain.
No, it's kind of like a
And-
big rock.
Yeah, when it's supposed to close,
Yeah, I
they just
love it.
move the camera sideways.
Yeah, they just
It's
pan
great.
the camera over, and they play like a rock sound effect, so it's like.
Exactly, and it's fantastic.
Oh, it's so cute. You're like, oh, they were doing the best with what they had. There's also the old guy that almost gives them up to like the evil knight's spies, who aren't very good spies. They're just kind of like, they're not really spying. They're more like running around the countryside.
Yeah, they're terrible spies.
Yeah.
But I love that about them. Just loud, obnoxious assholes who go around stealing whatever comes into their land.
They love it. They just love it.
Also, I just read my notes. Why are the guards acting like spies and the spies like guards?
Yeah, right? And then at the end of the movie, Bossa, whose real name is Mio, he has to defeat the knight Kato. Is that his name?
In Scandinavian as well, it is Kato, yes.
Okay.
Although it is pronounced Kato.
Kato.
Kato!
Yeah.
He has to defeat Kato so that he can release the children that Kato has kidnapped and turned into birds. And then at the end of the movie, Mio, like, has to go back to the real world and, like, use the knowledge and growth that he's attained in the world of fantasy in order to improve his standing in the real world. It's the hero's journey. There's like a when you return home. It's the same thing that happens in Lord of the Rings, in Neverending Story, in Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
I really wish that was the ending.
He never goes home, does he?
No,
He just stays there.
he stays. Yep, he stays there and just think, oh, at the end of the movie, like, do my aunt even, like, care that I'm gone?
Och jag undrar vad tant Edla och farbror Sixten sa när jag inte kom hem. De brydde sig så lite om mig. Kanske de inte ens märkte att jag försvann.
As far as they're concerned, he left home and then died on a park bench, right?
I mean, that's my headcanon. Although, actually, I do have another headcanon. I'll get to that later. Because I have, like, a bizarre thing, and I have so many notes about this. There's, like... Hang on, let me count real quick. 6 pages here I have of notes. Some of it is just about the dub. Because, again, the dub is fantastic. Like, when he meets his father for the first time, he runs up and goes, "Dad!" And he just says, "Yeah."
Far!
Ja.
And hugs him.
Correct. It is me, father. Yes.
That is 100% what happens.
Far!
Correct. So this was filmed in English, based on
Yes.
a Swedish book.
The Swedish book by Astrid Lindgren. I have actually read it, but I was like 6. I remember just thinking, like, this is bullshit, though.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, my teacher was reading it to me, and I was like, what is this bullshit? Because there is some parts here that is taken directly from the book. For instance, when they are in the forest and they get bored by a tree.
That's correct.
Yes, they speculate that maybe the forest hates Kato, right? And then they go to the mountain, and the mountain wars them. And then they say, maybe the mountain hates Kato. Do they say that in the movie? I don't remember.
Yes. I don't know if they mention it about the mountain, but they definitely say it about the tree. And I remember that being kind of a cute little fairy tale moment. Like, a lot of the problems that I think this movie has, the places where it's very weird, like Mio never going home, and like the trees and the land also hating Kato.
That's not everything that hates Kato.
Oh, goodness.
Because it's funny that you mentioned Lord of the Rings. In the book, when they go to Kato's castle, he has like a kind of eye that looks over the water. And they are almost caught by it, but then the waves put him out of the way. And then Mio says in the book, oh, maybe the water hates Kato too. Everybody hates Kato. This is just a
Everybody
thing.
hates Kato. Huh. I imagine they didn't have the budget for that in the movie.
What makes you say that? the fact that they spent almost every cent on the set in Kato's castle, because I love that set. Or just the scene of the head flying through space.
The sets inside the castle are gorgeous.
Yes.
I like that too. Yeah. I feel like they ran out around the point where they had to show the outside of Kato's castle. It's just kind of like a stone shack.
Yeah, just like at the bottom. The first time the reveal was there, I laughed so hard because I had to spend time finding the castle. That's just amazing.
I paused it too, and I was like, that in the distance, is that the castle out? No, those are just clouds. Oh, that's the castle. Oh.
And I have to give props to the beginning and the end credits of the movie, because there you can see that there is one good and one evil castle. And then, at the end credits, you see the evil and good castle again, but this time, the evil castle is just a ruin. I don't know what they were thinking. It's just very sweet. But yeah, you are right that this was originally filmed in English, because this is Christian Bale's first film, and Christopher Lee's not first film.
No, but was it Christian Bale's first film? He's so tiny in this.
He is so young and precious, and he lives outside in a little shed without any windows. He just lives in a garden.
And his name is Yum Yum?
You know, I don't think that's actually his name. I think that's his job description for if Mio runs out of food.
Emergency rations, your friend Yum Yum. Yeah.
He does nothing in this story.
No, he does nothing at all. It's very weird. He's like emotional support. That's about it. But like all the weird stuff in this movie, like all of that is totally excusable in the context of a Swedish fairy tale book for kids. Like, I'm okay with all of it.
You know, Astrid Lindgren, like the author of this, I have some experience with her books, and they're considered classics over here. I don't know how good they are.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest problem this has is that I feel like they did very little work in trying to make this work as a movie.
Trust me, it doesn't really work as a book either.
I'll take your word for it.
But speaking of these weird effects, like I have to bring it back to that head floating over Stockholm and through space. The first time I watched this, because my mother has memories of watching this when she was young, and just, it was so amazing and wonderful and such a great movie. And we sat down, watched it, because I figured, yeah, okay, you say it's a good movie, I'll trust you. And we see this scene of the head floating through space, and we laugh so fucking hard. That scene brings me to tears every time I see it, just because it is so funny.
It's bizarrely weird. It reminds me of an old Nintendo game called Zombie Nation, where you play a giant head shooting your way through New York. I'm glad they had a very realistic practical beard he could grab onto, though.
It just looks like tape.
Yeah.
No wonder he could stick to it while he was floating through space.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah. I was watching that scene and going, how far away is Faraway, the land of Faraway, gonna be? Turns out, pretty far. Yeah.
The name didn't lie.
No.
Yeah. Even as Bosse just says, like, outright, while he's holding the card there. The land of Faraway. That's probably far away.
Det landet är långt bort.
Yeah, no kidding. Can we talk about...
And he was right.
Can we talk about, like, the practicality of that? Because I don't understand how...
The mailman is gonna get to the land of Faraway.
That's part of it, yeah. Like, so they can send mail there, but if the head brings Mio there, he can't bring him back, because he's like, oh no, I can't bring you there because there's no way back. But then, like, how did Mio get to Earth and become Bassa in the first place? And how did his like aunt and uncle know his dad and then think he's a bum when he's just the fairy tale king of an entire like kingdom?
This brings me into my theory, actually.
Okay. I got a couple explanations of my own, but let's go for it.
Okay, so this is my explanation for the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this movie is actually very reminiscent of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, in my mind.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I think that Mio's father traveled to Earth and impregnated a bunch of women and does this routinely, so that he can just pick up whichever kid he has that has the worst life, who wants to get away, and get them to his kingdom, where he sends him off to be a child soldier. To kill the previous child who he sucked the youth out of.
So he just does this routinely.
That's why Kato says there will always be a new Kato and always a new Mio.
Oh.
And that way, Kato is a continuous threat that the people need their monarch for. He uses this to justify his rule, because while everyone else lives in ruin, he lives in a fucking castle.
It's not a very good castle, but yeah, I mean, it's still a castle.
That also makes sense with the prophecy well, that plays the same prophecy every day, and all the soldier and all the kids gather up around it like cult members to just stare into it.
They're being indoctrinated.
And into his manipulative worldview and why you need a king.
So why does he kidnap all the kids and turn them into birds?
Oh, I don't know, it's something to do.
He's just really bored.
Wouldn't you be? Live in a
Yes.
shitty little castle that can't even get, like, framed properly, and then you sit there going like, yeah, I have nothing to do. I'll just turn kids into birds and pat a toad with a feather.
He was having a great time with that toad.
I look at that scene and I see someone who has figured life out.
So my thought was, I was like, okay, a couple things could be happening here. So Mio leaves home, and then it's like an occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge or like Jacob's Ladder, where he just like imagines the whole rest of the movie as he's like starving on a park bench or something. Like he imagines the whole Faraway thing. Maybe.
That's also a valid theory. It's better than what Astrid Lindgren came up with. I'm just dragging like a beloved children's author who has been dead for like 20 years or something.
Well, they can't complain about it then. So the dialogue in this movie is really bad.
I would know because I watched the superior Swedish version.
Far!
Ja.
So in English, the acting's not bad. Like it's pretty passable. The direction is mostly fine. But the written dialogue is very strange because characters just say what they're feeling or doing a lot of the time. So like one of the examples is like when Mio's crying in the beginning of the movie over like them calling his dad a bum or whatever, and he's like, I'll prove my dad's not a bum. I'll go and find my dad and he'll be a great dad, and I'll prove that he's not a bum by finding him, and I'll go out and find him and he won't be a bum and he'll be great and I will prove them wrong. And it's like, okay, I get it. Yeah. I mean,
But do you?
Or like when Christopher Lee is holding the sword at the end of the movie that's supposed to kill him, and he's like, sword was forged to do good and never evil. This is the most dangerous sword I have ever held. I shall cast it out the window, for this is the most dangerous sword I have ever held, and it shall never be recovered.
I do love that he also says it is completely useless to me because it can only hurt it cannot hurt the innocent.
Yeah.
Like, he's just living up that villain life.
He knows he's evil. He just commits.
Det kan inte döda de goda oskyldiga. Vad ska jag göra med det?
He commits to it and pets a toad with a feather.
Yeah. I love his big metal claw. I think that's a great look.
That's great.
Yeah.
Kato doesn't really have a real-life counterpart, unlike almost everything else in this movie.
No, I was expecting his counterpart to be Mio's, like, stepdad or uncle or whoever it is. Because, like, we never see him in the movie. He doesn't get any voiced lines aside from going, like, Like, he has this grumble off screen during one scene.
To be fair, that's how I communicate.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's very Charlie Brown parents kind of a thing.
Yeah. I will say it is exceptionally funny that Yum Yum's counterpart in the real world is like his best friend who has a nice dad. And in this world, he has just like stolen his dad.
Yeah.
Just like, it's my dad now.
It's really weird. But I was expecting to get back to the real world and Bossa has to talk to his... Yeah. And Bossa is going to talk to his dad, and his dad was going to be played by Christopher Lee or something like that. So that
would actually have been cool.
Yeah, so that we have that analog, and it like comes full circle kind of thing. I don't know. There's also like the swordsmith who doesn't have any real world analog either.
Yeah, but I love the swordsmith. He is
the swordsmith is
eager,
amazing.
At least in the yes. Mm-hmm. He delivers those lines.
He sure does.
Död åt den onde Kato! Död åt riddaren!
I love that he was making a sword of ultimate good that can do no evil, and it's like child-sized.
And also that Mio smashes up his anvil or cuts it in half. Like, dude, I need that for work.
Yeah, he heckin' delivers. That's great. It's very weird from a film perspective that our motivation for... So for a film protagonist, usually you have like a want and a need. A character wants a thing, they find out they need to do something, and then that either conflicts with or meets that want. And then that's how your story comes about.
Yeah.
So... It's weird that what Mio needs to do is defeat Kato and save the kids. But we don't find that out until like 20 minutes into the movie.
And even then he doesn't get it because he doesn't think the prophecy is about him.
Yeah, it's really weird. And we need to talk about how that happens. But like, his want is to like find his dad and find out that his dad is a good person, and he gets that want before he finds out what his need is. So like his character is pretty much resolved once he like finds his dad, because like Kato's not a threat to his dad.
Yeah, unless he is, if my theory is correct. It's just that Elsie Lindgren forgot to write the rest of the book.
Were there like sequels to this book? Was this like part of a series?
No, this was just one and done. I think this was actually written a little bit before Lord of the Rings or right after. Like there's a couple of months between them. And it's just so familiar with like Lord of the Rings references, so I just believe one or the other ripped the other one off.
Yeah, it's weird. When we were, when I was watching, like, Mio and Yum Yum, like, crawling around on the rocks with their, like, little cloaks on, I'm like, this is just Lord of the Rings. They're just hobbits.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think. But I just have to mention the best feature of Kato, and that's that he's the kingdom's air condition.
Go on.
Every second or third time you say his name, there's just these immense winds that comes in and just like wrecks shop everywhere.
Oh, we've got this kite that we want to fly, but it's just no wind today. Kato. Do you think the winds that show up when you say his name are a reference to when they were flying a kite at the beginning of the movie?
No, I don't think
No.
I don't think Astrid Lindgren is that clever. Nor the filmmakers. Honestly, Astrid Lindgren once wrote a children's book called The Brothers Lionheart, which also got adapted into a movie, where it's about two brothers who die, and at the end, one of them is so hurt that he won't survive, so the younger brother effectively kills himself to go to the next level of heaven, where there's no pain, and so his brother can just die, and it's really fucked up.
Okay.
Kind of going like, suicide was the answer, I guess?
I guess.
Oh, it's awful.
That's very strange.
Oh, you don't even know half of it.
I feel like this movie has a lot of like fairy tale elements to it. So there's a lot I can forgive in the weird dialogue and the way that people don't really talk like people or act like people is like, it's kind of excusable in the context of being like kind of a fairy tale story, but it's just like, it doesn't work as a movie then.
Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of cutesy, but it doesn't work as a movie. But yeah, shall we continue on to him going to the land outside, which great naming, by the way.
Oh yes, please. I like Faraway and the land outside are two different countries. It was very cute.
I was unsure if that was the name in English.
I think so, yeah.
The fact that he doesn't even ask the guards who work for his father to just, hey, could you wait a little bit with that bridge thing?
No.
He just makes his horse just fucking jump the distance. Speaking of which, in the beginning, when he gets that horse, he should have immediately fallen off that horse because that would have been funny as shit.
Oh god, I wish there were bloopers for this movie.
What are you talking about? It's called Mio in the Land of Faraway.
Alright. Oh my gosh, can we talk about the Forest of Mystery?
Sure, go ahead.
Because, I think I missed it. Did the Forest of Mystery happen off-screen? Or, because I thought they were oh, go through the Forest of Mystery, and then across the bridge, and then you'll be in the land beyond, or whatever. And I'm and then they just get to the bridge, and I'm oh, so the Forest of Mystery was just we did that off-screen.
I think in the book, that was one riddle, and they got past.
Alright.
I don't remember.
They probably
I'm
get
getting
it
some
off-screen.
flashbacks to first grade. Just thinking, this story's stupid.
Oh, I think I've got some tips for how to improve it. Okay.
Sure.
So first of all,
you don't make the movie.
No, I think there's a good idea in here. I think there's a good movie that could come out of this. And I think first of all,
You mean Lord of the Rings?
or Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, maybe. I think either you need to end the film with Mio going back to the real world, or you need to take out the beginning part and just have Mio live in the land of Faraway forever. It's very weird to have him not go back to the real world at the end, and not have that bookend. As a movie, I think you need it. Okay, so Mio wants to find his dad and prove that his dad's a good guy, right?
Yeah.
He needs to beat Kato and save the kids. Why not make these the same thing? Why not make it so that when Mio gets to the land of Faraway, or when he finds out he's a king's son or whatever, he finds out about all these kids being kidnapped or whatever. He goes on that journey because he's a good person or whatever, right? And then when he gets to the end, he finds out that Kato is his dad. And he has been kidnapping the children and turning them into birds because he misses Mio so much. And he's like, I'm trying to fill the hole in my heart by capturing all these other children and trying to find one that I love as much as Mio, and I just can't do it. And it's caused him to have a heart of stone. And so now Mio must defeat his dad, which is his want, in order to save the kids, which is his need. He has to give up the thing that he wants in order to save them. And so he takes his sword, which can harm no innocent and can do no evil, but can pierce stone. And he stabs it into the heart of Kato, but it does not harm his flesh because he is innocent. It only cuts his heart of stone, and he turns good again. And then the castle becomes all good, the kids are free, and his dad is like, Mio, my son, you've saved me, now I'm your perfect dad or whatever. And then Mio's like, yay, now I can go back to the real world and I can tell everyone that my dad is a fairy tale king or whatever, right?
Yeah, I have a way of improving this movie too. Removing the fucking pan flutes.
Oh god, they're so annoying!
I hate pan flutes so fucking much. You have no idea.
How did they help them in the cave? How is the pan flute better at locating each other than just yelling?
Oh, it's more annoying.
It is way more annoying.
I hate that song with all of my heart. And they play it again and again and again. And the worst part is, it's the only song they know on the island, or whatever, or the land of Faraway. It's been the hit song for over 1,000 years because nobody has bothered to make a good song. Which, frankly, fair enough. That's impossible with fucking pan flutes.
No, there is one better song. And it's by former members of ABBA. And it is in the end credits.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm just saying the pan flutes are terrible, and liking pan flute makes you a bad person.
That's correct. Oh, this movie's so weird.
Yes!
I kind of loved it.
I mean, it is great. Don't get me wrong, I watch this thing, like, whenever I meet someone who hasn't seen it, I'm like, you haven't seen Mio in the Land of Faraway? This needs fixing. And then they can just stare at me afterwards and go, what the fuck was that movie about?
That's the thing. Like, it doesn't have an about. There's not, like, a message or a moral in it.
No, but it's so weird that, you know, when someone hasn't been introduced to this masterpiece, it's just push it on them. Go ahead.
Make your friends
Try to
watch
make
this
sense
movie.
of this.
Yeah. Oh. I know what else we need to talk about. The very believable and realistic bird animatronics.
I just want to talk about the one bird who flew directly into a torch.
What the heck? He like hit it with a torch and it started on fire immediately.
Firebirds!
Oh, these seagulls are highly flammable.
This movie should have won every bird catching on fire Oscar. Which should be a category.
Birdemic 2, Mio in the Land of Faraway.
This is more the origin.
It's a prequel.
That doesn't actually, but does it make sense?
No, not really.
There's a way we can force it to make sense. I just know it.
I feel like turning kids into birds is a very fairy tale magic logic kind of thing to it. It's
yeah,
kinda,
it is. It's very common in Celtic mythology, actually.
Okay, I could see it. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Seagulls, though.
Yeah, because in Celtic it's like swans.
Yeah, swans would make sense. Yeah. I guess seagulls is what they had.
Seagulls is what they thought they had good animatronics of.
Or, even worse, they were actually supposed to be swans. And those animatronics.
That's
were
also a
swans.
possibility. Although I will say that when the bird that got burned ended up being returned to normal, I was like, oh, please don't come back.
That was just a children's
Because,
corpse, right?
Yes.
That was just a child corpse laying on the rocks.
That's what it should have been, but at the end you see, nah, she's fine.
It's like Animorphs.
I'm so disappointed.
They can just heal by morphing. Oh, it's a good thing they didn't eat any of those seagulls. Jeez.
How do you know the guards didn't do it?
The guards might have. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I wonder if they also got transformed back.
Just suddenly, like, one of the guards goes, oh, I feel so good, and an arm just shoots out of his belly.
Yeah.
I demand an NC-17 cut of Mio in the land of Faraway where that happens.
A guy ate a whole bird and then it turns into a child.
I was hungry, Craig. More body horror in children's media. Please and thank you. I also want to talk a little bit about the final fight between Kato and Mio.
Oh yeah, when he has to do the Jedi training orb thing.
Yes, where they fight for approximately half a minute, and then he has to fight an orb, and it's the most pathetic fight I have ever seen in my life.
You know what it reminded me of? I don't know if you've played it, but the final boss of Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time has a very similar mechanic where Ganondorf fires orbs at you, and you have to use your sword to launch them back at him.
Do you think the Astrid Lindgren estate can sue Nintendo?
Probably not.
I'm just saying it because that would be hilarious. I do love his line, "You have defeated me, Prince Mio," after he's just like touched the fucking ball with the sword.
Du har besegrat mig, prins Mio.
Yeah. So there's like...
My family quotes that all the time at each other.
Aww, that's so cute. That final confrontation is very weird because, well, for a lot of reasons, but one of...
Firstly, because Mio is so committed to murder.
Right.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah. So Christopher Lee has a couple different gambits. He first goes like, he's like, okay, I'm just gonna fight you. Okay, the fighting didn't work. You have defeated me. But if you strike me down, there will always be another. Surely, whatever can come after me would be worse than me. So you should just let me live. And then Mio's like, nah, I'm out for blood today.
Yes, that is totally what happens. And I'm into him being bloodthirsty. Which, if my theory is correct, would make Kato right.
So after Mio stabs him, Christopher Lee delivers this line with the utmost sincerity, and he says, "At last I am free of this heart of stone." And then he turns into stone and crumbles, and it's actually really powerful, and I love it.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
But what I really, really love about that is that when he turns to stone, it still has his hair. That's what I love more than anything else about it. It's just still got that hair though.
I think I know how to make Yum Yum important too. I was thinking about this.
Mio eats him, right?
Oh god.
At last, flesh.
At last.
Live up to your name.
I don't think he needed to eat Yum Yum because they had that bread that satisfies all hunger. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
every time
Or
we talk about
lembas
it.
bread if you're
It's just lembas
if
bread,
you're kind of better at naming things.
right?
Yes.
And like, do they have any other kind of bread in this universe? Is the bread that
I don't think
satisfies all
so.
hunger special? Or is all bread that
I-
satisfies all hunger? In which case, why not call it bread?
Because it satisfies all hunger. Weren't you paying attention?
Well, you know what? I'm going to call all of my food that satisfies all hunger now because, you know, when I order barbecue, I definitely have ribs that satisfy all hunger. How long does it satisfy all hunger for?
The normal amount.
The normal
so
amount
it's
of
just
time.
bread.
So it's basically just bread.
I
yeah.
mean, when Eno got the bread, he basically got half, and he kept eating it.
Yeah.
Also, Eno is an anagram for the one, so this is actually the Matrix.
Is the part when Bossa is like in the real world, is that the Matrix? And then the giant head
He
gives
escapes
him
to
like
double
the
Matrix.
yeah. Oh no, I was thinking the head gives him like the red pill.
I mean, if a giant head said, I can take you to the real world, you swallow this pill, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. See how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I just want to mention my final note in my notebook. Jesus fucking Christ, I can't believe I watched that again. And that's an actual quote from what I said when I was done with it. Just, why did I watch this again? Why? But, you know, because when you've watched it like 8 times, the novelty starts wearing off. No amount of floating heads or Kato using Jedi training to fight Mio, or him being surprised that his horse can jump and Yum Yum calling him a fucking idiot.
Det du vet inte så mycket, Mio.
Can really make this movie stand out anymore, but when you watch it for the first time, and for the second and fifth time for that matter, with other people, it's pretty great. So, Bun,
Yeah.
would you recommend watching Mio in the Land of Faraway?
I would recommend doing a watch party. I would recommend getting a couple friends together, maybe some drinks, put it on in the background. Try not to pay too much attention to it. It's a fun time.
I recommend it on the same basis because, yeah, it's just fucking weird, and it has some great scenes that you can laugh at with your friends, and you can just go utterly insane actually paying attention to it. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of downtime in this movie, but every once in a while you get a giant floating head that just carries him off to a fairy tale realm, you know?
And that's fantastic. So yes, that is our recommendation. Goodbye for now. And here's Lucky Bun, all the social media things. Okay. There, I shilled for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on and just letting me dish about this movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would be happy to do so again.
Yeah, I need to find something we can watch.
Oh, I have 2 options for you.
Oh boy.
Oh, I got one thing that I think will be right up your alley. It is really good, horrifying, and just like strange in the best way, and you probably maybe haven't heard about it. Or the movie you inflicted upon me by telling me about it.
I love me a good video game movie.
Well,
I mean, the word good is doing a lot of work in that sentence, but you know what I mean.
it's doing a lot of legwork. I will make you watch the good movie first.
I look forward to it.
Anyways, goodbye everyone.
Goodbye.